Здесь тут провод. Мы только из-за провода. Слушай, чуть по диагонали поставим.
Sure. Hello everyone. We're starting our stream. So the first game that we're watching is Pinkamena against Fatality. So the derby. So we have a Sicilian opening here. So the usual consequences of moves. Yeah, e6, knight c3 is coming. Queen c7. Yeah, that's some usual moves. So let's give me a sec. We have a Sicilian opening here. Yeah, e6, knight c3 is coming. Yeah, so let's go. Bishop d3, so defending the e4 pawn. Now d5. I wonder if this move was well timed because Black's king wasn't castled yet. e5 seems like a blunder. Yeah, queen takes on e5. But maybe it's a sacrifice to use the development advantage. So we'll see it now. Maybe Black has some move like knight g4. But it seems like it's not working because of bishop f4, queen takes d4, and bishop b5 check. So yeah, it seems like Black has to focus on some consolidating moves, maybe play like queen c7 or castle right now. Yeah, queen c7 is played. It's better, I think, because bishop f4 was a threat. a3 looks like somewhat a waste of time for me. I'm not sure. Now white is blundering the h2 pawn. Maybe it's a sacrifice once again. I don't actually get the idea of the b4 move. Seems too slow. White has to create some fast threats. Maybe, I don't know, bishop g5 at least. Goes for b5. No exact threats here, so Black has time to play even e5. d4 is the idea. So white plays knight f5, creating some counter threats. d4 can be played still. But maybe this is too much. Black plays a little bit safer, takes on f5. White takes, and now d4. Maybe some sacrifice is coming, like, I don't know, using the e-file. So yeah, bishop takes d4. I think rook e1 check was essentially necessary. But now Black has time to castle. Well, Black still would have time to castle. Rook e1 check would be met by bishop e7, then queen takes d4 and castling, and I think it was still fine. But now it's much more easier, especially after this blunder. So the pawn on h7 is defended well. So no checkmate threats, and the game is done already. 2 extra pieces, extra knights, must be more than enough. Rook goes to d1, maybe the idea is rook d3 and rook h3. Rook d8, Black plays. White plays rook e1. Queen e5 can be played. Oh no, not queen e5, I mean bishop takes a3 maybe. Queen takes a3. Black essentially can make any move, like g6 or just anything. Too much of an advantage. Black got. Moving the bishop on d6 away is tactically good because white will not have an opportunity to play rook takes d8 because of queen takes e1 check. So black goes for bishop c7. Rook takes on d8. This is a checkmate blunder. Queen takes e1, just finishes the game. Yeah, that's it. So we're waiting for the next game. So it's not looking like the game is starting. Вкладок нет.
Складок нет? Сейчас
Okay, guys, sorry for this little delay. We're still waiting for the next game to start. It's always like this in the first round of the arena tournaments because everyone is playing. So this game was quite fast because of a sequence of blunders. And so we have to wait until other players finish their games to continue the commentating. Well, we have a little bit of time, so I'll I'll use this time to present myself a little bit. I am Arman Givenjan, FIDE master from Russia. So I'm very glad that I am commentating the games of these wonderful girls. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. We see some emotions on the cameras. It's always difficult for an 8-year-old little girl to just stay calm. So she just is so much excited about this tournament and waiting for the following games. And so we're about to continue. So let's focus on the fatality game, I think. So d4, d5, c4, c6. Oh, it's a Slav exchange variation. I'm a little bit of a specialist here, so let's see. Well, bishop g5 maybe is fine, but the usual theory is bishop f4 or knight f3. This move can be played also. Maybe black had an opportunity to play knight e4, I'm not sure. Plays knight c6, gives white an opportunity to take on f6. Well, I think it's still fine for both sides. The position is slightly equal. The pawn structure is a little bit... I'm not sure if I can say ruined for black. So this pawn structure is still fine, but at least it may be now difficult to think about something like e5 because the f5 square will be very weak. And also black had a 2 bishops advantage. Now obviously he doesn't have this one. Still plays e5. Well, if black plays e4 and then maybe try to go for a5, f4, maybe this will be fine. But at least white can meet it by playing g3, and it will not be dangerous anymore. I don't really like the e5 move, so it's weakening the position, and I don't see the reason why we have to rush like this. Also, the d5 pawn is weak now. White goes bishop b5. I'd go for bishop e2 myself. Black plays queen d6. So maybe now... Well, maybe it's difficult to find a safe haven for the king in this position. For both sides and for white especially. Because castling is a little bit scary. White decides to go for an interesting decision, takes on e5, maybe now goes c4. This is actually looking interesting, because there is no d4 move because of e takes d4, e takes d4, and queen takes d4 using the pin. Yeah, that's the move. Black can play bishop e6. I think... Oh, but bishop e6 is actually not solving the problems because of c takes d5. And now if black takes with his queen, which is better, I think. So queen takes d5 can be met by queen takes d5, bishop takes d5, knight takes e5, once again using the pin. Black can go for bishop takes g2, but white will play rook g1 and have a better structure. And if black plays bishop takes d5 instead, white will have the e4 move. So maybe because of all that I just said, black decided to play bishop g4. But bishop g4 looks even worse for me. I don't know. I think at least c takes d5 can be played now. Isn't this just an extra minor piece? So white is counting some variations, making the evaluations of the following position. And we'll now, come to the final decision. C takes d5. And we'll see the black's idea. It was e4, and e4 is not good enough for sure, because now we'll just play d takes c6. C takes b7 check is just a very strong strat. So black will play... I think queen takes d1, but white will just respond with rook takes d1, and there is no time to take the f3 knight because of c takes b7 check, and a huge material disadvantage after this. So it's even difficult to not lose some more material. So yeah, king e7 might be one of the best moves, but yeah, now c takes b7 and rook b8. Rook b8 even will be met by maybe. Well, I thought knight e5, but maybe it's not as good. Maybe h3 was better. White decided to go knight e4. This is almost similar to knight e5, to be honest. A little bit worse, I'd say, because knight e5 was attacking the bishop. Oh, interesting. And very strange also. So white decided to play king takes d1 instead of knight c6 check. Some miscalculation there, maybe some nerves. I don't see the actual reason why would we do that. Well, white still have a huge material advantage though. So two pieces, two minor pieces and a pawn against the rook. This is much more that is really needed to have a winning position. And also the rook is not exchanged. This is very important in this kind of position. And yeah, rook c8 was not a blunder, so bishop a6 wasn't working because of rook b2 check. White goes rook d1. The rook is likely now to go to d2, and then black will essentially have no counterplay. Because the a3 pawn is also not vulnerable because it can go to e4. Yeah, rook c3, now a4, I think. Can be safely played, yeah. And all the pieces are very well defended. And now we'll see the demonstration of how minor pieces are much better than the rook. Rook goes to a3. I play rook d2 maybe here. Or maybe we can count some aggressive continuation, some check maybe. Knight c6 check. White goes bishop c6. I don't like this move because exchanging rooks in this kind of position is very dangerous. And also now black plays rook e2 check. And yeah, if white was forced to play king e1, this would be very grim. But white had a knight c2 move, and now both sides are blundering because white already had a winning continuation, king c3 and king b3, eating the rook. So both sides miss that, just exchange pawns. This position is still victorious for white, but this is much more difficult now because there are not much material. There's no much material remaining, and we'll have to be quite accurate. And the time is low. Oh, g4 is a very dangerous move. I don't really like this. So all these exchanges are not favorable for white. Yeah, now h5. So that's what I was talking about. The king is very far away and can't really help the action. And now it's anyone's game. Yeah, rook goes to h2. Oh, and that's a blunder. So white got lucky here. Well, still deserved. So at any point of the game, white essentially had a victorious position, except maybe last couple of moves. Oh, and the other side, in the other game of Pinkamena, we have an end game, which, yeah, black easily wins by playing queen a8. So it was a little bit faster on the rush. And yeah, the king is checkmated. So we're ready to go to the next game, where Fatality faces a strong opponent, the huge rating of 24-25. That's pretty much. So white plays knight f3. Let's see what the usual response for Fatality is. g6, bishop g7, so some king's Indian maybe. Yeah, e5. Both sides have very big choice in this kind of positions. White goes d4. Now, yeah, the exchange happens. Black will play knight c6, yeah, knight bc6, attacking the d4 knight, maybe forcing some exchanges. White may consider going away with his knight, like knight c2, maybe. I'm not actually sure what is a theoretical continuation here. So white just exchanges on c6. Has to be fine also. So what is the plan now? White plays e4, winning some space. Bishop e6, and seems like white maybe wasn't ready for these attacks on the pawns, and maybe was a little bit ahead of himself by playing e4, because now it's maybe quite difficult to defend the pawn on c4, because white can't play b3. It will be met by knight f3 check and bishop takes a1. And also, if white defend this pawn in some other way by playing, for example, queen e2, black may consider something like c6. It's not winning pawn because of knight e3, but the fact that this move is existing is already showing some maybe problems that white have. Queen b6 is fine now, yeah, because this is defending from f4. Now f4 isn't working because of bishop takes c4 or knight takes c4. So it's also, there are some difficulties for white to develop his pieces. Rook goes to b1, and maybe black can play something like queen d4 here. Queen d4, and maybe rook d1 can be met by bishop takes c4, and other moves, for example, b3 can be met by queen d3, I think. Essentially, queen d4 is, yeah, quite strong. Queen a6 was also the move. Yeah, queen a6 was a double attack, but there was a b3 move. Yeah, so black goes a5. Still might be fine because, once again, no f4 move yet. So if white wants to play f4, has to play like king h1, for example. So essentially there are two moves here for white, king h1 and bishop d2. So let's see if white chooses the developing move or maybe creating some instant threats. There's also a b3 move, but b3 is the move that a5 was aiming against, so b3 would be met by a4. Bishop goes to d2, so yeah, that's the choice. Maybe we still can play a4, for example. Seems like this was the idea of a5. Queen d4 is possible once again. Black plays rook e8. Well, for me, black is playing a little bit too slow. You can't afford this kind of moves in positions like this. So when the other side has this kind of space advantage and you went for some aggressive moves like knight e5 and queen b6, you have to remain aggressive. You can't just slow down the play, because if white now has time to play all these moves like king b3, king h1, and f4, all the pieces will start going backwards, and this is very dangerous because the position may become very bad. But seems like black found some sort of counterplay. Queen c5 and b5, very interesting. And seems like it's working because the c4 pawn is attacked now, and c takes b5 can be played because it doesn't seem like white will capture the queen. Plays h3, this is a very strange move. Because maybe the idea is to play f4 now after b takes c4, but f4 is not the solution because of c takes b3 at least. Or maybe knight d3. I think both moves are fine. I'd play c takes b3. I think it's working. Black just decided to play knight d7. I think this is passive. Maybe black is just playing time, and I don't understand why now. Oh, the idea was to take bishop takes c4 after b takes c4. So yeah, maybe that's fine as well. Black has an extra pawn now. Could even have played c3 after this check. But seems like black is already playing time. 20 seconds remaining for white. Not too much. And and black still has an extra pawn. Rook b8 is on the cards, and if one pair of rooks is exchanged, white's position becomes very grim. Rook goes to d1, so yeah, white prevents the exchange. Well, if black is able to consolidate in this position, the result is no question. I would play knight b6 maybe in the previous moves, but oh, queen d4 is not good because now the play becomes easier for black, and there are not much counter chances in this position for white, essentially. Yeah, so we just play rook d8. Well, rook d1 is maybe the only counterplay, but yeah, e3 is working for sure. g5, and now maybe just knight h5 was fine. e2 is even better because yeah, now we play knight h5, and bishop takes d5 can't even be played, I think. Yeah, the e2 pawn is just deciding the result of the game. Should decide, I mean. Because white will waste a lot of time trying to eat this pawn. Well, in fact, white didn't for some reason. It was quite easy. And now the position become drawish. Oh, and this is not very good for black because now black even have to make some work to make this draw. Well, white is not making the right moves because now white is at risk. Not a huge risk, of course, because come on, this is just 2 pawns remaining. 96 is a move, yeah, but black just offers the draw. 96 wasn't working because of bishop d7, of course, so no reason to continue the game. Well, black was not at risk, I think, even if white was making the correct moves and the correct plan was to move king to the queen side, not to g2, so defend the h3 pawn with the bishop. But black always could secure the draw by just capturing the a4 pawn and placing the king on h8, and so the wrong color of the h8 square, and white will not have the opportunity to win, actually. So let's maybe watch some Pinkamena games. We have a pause once again. Well, guys, maybe you have some questions. It's a perfect time to ask. So we see some emotions in the cameras of players. Fatality is discussing if she had the winning continuation in the previous game. Well, we know that she had it, just didn't find. Well, let's watch Pinkamena game. D4, D5, bishop E4, E6. So black blocks development of the white square bishop, but it's fine, of course. At D7, because we still can go for B6, bishop E7, C5, something like this. So yeah, bishop E7, playing a little bit passive. White goes knight E5 for some reason. I think it was perfectly fine to just exchange on E5, play knight D7 and C5 maybe. C6 is fine as well, but once again very passive. So now it will be quite difficult for us to play B6. Yeah, and queen F3, and maybe this attack becomes a little bit dangerous because now after knight takes E5, white may even consider D takes E5. Black plays H6, so and this move looks very dangerous for me because now white can just straight attack the king side by playing G4. And this kind of weaknesses, this is fine because the center is blocked, and so it will be extremely difficult for black to find some counterplay. And yeah, that's what happens. White plays G4. Queen B6 is played, Rook B1. It's but still fine, I think. Bishop B4 is surely not enough because of C3, for example. If it's even necessary, because we can play H4 or G5. No, white plays C3. I think it's better just to not give any chances. Bishop D6. Bishop D6 is a blunder of knight takes D7, and white will have an extra minor piece. Let's see if white can find it. Well, even if white doesn't find this, the game is essentially lost because of the H4 G5 plan. That is just too dangerous. But yeah, white finds it, plays knight takes D7, and that's it. Bishop takes D6, and it's over. So let's move to the fatality game. Oh, we have some action here. White has an extra pawn, and it doesn't look like white is about to lose it back. So the position is quite stable. We have time to play e4, just defend everything. Now queen can go to d4. Queen is the center, in center is very powerful, so yeah, queen d4 is played. That's quite an easy move. e4, e5 is a very strong plan, actually. Sadly for black, he even doesn't have some counterplay, and e6 is a final nail to the coffin, because now e4 just wrecks black. No, in fact it doesn't. I missed the e5 move. I thought black was about to lose a minor piece, but it's not the case. White still have an advantage that has to be enough to win this game, but maybe it will not be as easy as I thought. Rook fc1 is perfectly fine now. Or maybe black's plan is to play f5, so maybe rook ab1 actually was a little bit better. But this counterplay still doesn't look like it's working, so we can just don't react to f5. Black played b5. Well, fair enough. Oh, wow. For some reason, White decides to force the issue and play f4 and e5. I don't think that this was necessary. I'll just play something like rook ab1, maybe queen b4 after this. Well, of course, White has an advantage still, but I'm not sure if this risk was worth it actually. Well, you see, I don't doubt. I don't even doubt that White's position is is plus maybe 1.7 or something like this. But we play a blitz game, and do we really need to risk like that? Well, king goes to d4, and king on d4 is very beautiful, actually. I think black has to play rook a8 to at least fight some counterplay. Yeah, that's the move. Now rook takes c1 is a threat, or maybe even rook takes a2. So White has to make the move. No, rook a4 check is also a threat. So maybe rook takes c8 is the only move here for White. Seems like it. Yeah, that's actually the move that was made. And that's what I was talking about. So we already see some difficulties. Yeah, bishop a4 is played, but now rook c4 check is the response. King goes to d3 and bishop g4 is played. I don't catch the idea, to be honest. I don't like this move because maybe White can play rook b1 or just d6 is fine. Bishop e2 check, but yeah, it's not a huge issue because of king e3. Yeah. So this idea wasn't working. Bishop moves back to g4. Now White can think about bishop d5, yeah, winning some space. Rook f1 is on the cards now. Rook c3 check and just king d4, yeah. Who cares about the g3 pawn? We just don't need it already. Because rook takes g3 can be met by rook f1, and this is very strong. Well, White don't like this idea for some reason. This continuation is still winning, I think, but this is going to be much more difficult as it would be after rook f1. But after the rook h4 move, that is really awful. This is easy because now rook can take on f5 and d7. That was the easiest way to win. White goes for a much more difficult continuation once again. Still has to be working because White is just wasting a lot of time for some reason. So the pawn promotes the queen. Yeah, queen e3. And that's it. So the time trouble just got black and his moves become very bad. That's it. So once again, we have a little bit of pause. So we see the players using this break to the maximum. It's always difficult to play a 90 minutes tournament. This is always a challenge for a chess player. So it just looks easy when you watch it, but of course it's not like that. The pressure always is on. So let's wish the good luck to the players, and let's hope that Fatality continues this beautiful run. The 7th place already, and after winning this game, it becomes even better. So I was meaning that in this position, after the 36th move, white could play rook f1, bishop f5, rook takes f5, g takes f5, and d7. I think that was the easiest way. So yeah, let's watch the Fatality game once again. She's 3rd place. This is very high up. The opponent is strong. So what is the move? The move isn't made for some reason. The opponent isn't there. Very strange at this point of the tournament. So he's back, e4, c5, the Sicilian defense, as we like, as usual. White plays f4. This is like not the most popular move, so maybe white tries to be a little bit tricky. Queen goes to c7. I know that this move is usually made, but I don't know that this is the perfect position to make move like that. I would just play knight f6 and d5 maybe. Black was just playing as usual. So it's fine when you play a blitz game. Yeah. Rook b8. So now the plan is maybe b5, b4. Move the knight on c3 away, make white a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe even a5 can be included. Yeah, that's the case. Now b4 can be played. Yeah, that's the move. Actually, white's knight will have to go to somewhere like d1. It's not fun to make moves like this. But what's the continuation? That's the question. I think it's perfect time to play something like d5 if it's working. So d5, maybe white will have to respond with e5, and the bishop on a2 will struggle. The drawbacks of the d5 move is that after e5, the king side is kind of isolated, and the ideas of something like f5 becomes stronger, but I think that white's pieces are misplaced, and in this scenario, this attack is not dangerous, and the play on the queen side was just steamrolling. Black plays safe, plays bishop d7, but maybe this isn't safe in fact, because you see the best defense is attacking. So knight goes to e3, bishop takes g3, white's pieces finally find some nice places. I think bishop g3 is slow as well. I'd maybe think about g4 already, g4, g5. Just attack, use the time that black just gifted to white. But after this kind of phase, yeah, some ideas like rook a7 can go through. Bishop b3, now rook a8, or f to a8, yeah. The exchange. It's not looking like it's too dangerous, but knight a5 was the threat already, so white decided to force the issue by playing e5. Black has to respond with knight e8. Oh no, black takes on e5. This is very scary. I will not I'll not recommend this kind of move, because now the f file opens. And the counterplay on the queen side is not looking fast enough for me. I don't think that is going to work. Oh, knight on c4 is just placed so well. And on the opposing side, we have the knight on e8 that is just has nowhere to go. So black goes knight a5, trying to at least exchange this like very strong knight. So white goes for this exchange and maybe now plays just knight d2 maybe, and the other knight goes to c4. No, instead white decides to play queen e4. Once again, no straight threats, maybe just placing the pieces in the good spots. Queen goes to b6, so maybe the idea was just to... There's always a chance that your opponent will blunder. But in fact, c4 check wasn't even a threat because of bishop f2. So. Well, now the bishops are exchanged, and once again, this exchange, maybe it's not even that good for black, because the white squared bishop wasn't a very strong piece, so it was just blocked by the a6 pawn. Well, on the other hand, the bishop was defending the a2 square, for example. And so now black will have an opportunity to play rook a2. Not right now, because the f7 pawn is attacked. So black plays bishop f4, decides that queen d4 check isn't good enough. I agree with that. The endgame will be very sad. The other knight goes to c4, and yeah, in positional way, so white's already overplayed black. So let's see what it look like when it comes to tactics. So black goes for a breakthrough, play f5, and essentially it's necessary to play e takes f6, because this is actually the conversion of an advantage for white. So we convert the positioning advantage to the weak pawn on e6. But white doesn't go for this, plays queen g5, and I don't like this, because now rook f7 could be played, bishop e7, and maybe some counter-attacking play even in the king side, which was not looking likely a couple of moves ago. Oh, I didn't notice that. The time trouble already is coming for black. So maybe that's why black tries to play as much as simple as it's possible. Knight b6, yeah, queen c6. Now knight is going back. Queen is going back. So as we see, black is fine to draw this game. Easy to understand because he had 23 seconds. This is a low timer. So yeah, g4 is played. The exchange, knight goes to f5, and yeah, knight on f5 is placed very strong. But let's see if black can counter the threats of like h5. Yeah, king g7 is played. Well, in fact, the knight on f5 just distracts the f2 bishop, and this helps black very much because now the plan is quite obvious. So we have to somehow move the rook to the h file. It may be done with the rook a8 move, but it's not working right now because of knight b6. Yeah, bishop e1 maybe is a mistake because it gives black an opportunity to exchange the queens. It's not a mistake in case of like chess play because the position is equal now and was equal before this, but it's a mistake because black had 26 seconds. White could have tried to use this fact, and now without the queens, the moves become easy, and essentially black's position is looking even better. The plans are much more obvious, like just g5, g4, g3, and let's see what happens. Rook goes to b1. I think black can just ignore it, yes. Rook c2, I would go g5 instead, maybe, because in this scenario, rook b7 couldn't be countered with king g6, and now rook b7, yeah, can be played. And king f8, oh, the king on the 8th rank. Well, at least white has to move the rook back. So the king decides to go to the queen side, and I don't really like this. I think the king was much more safe on the king side. White goes d4, the exchange happens. The pawn on g4 and the knight on f5 is just a perfect combination because, as you see, there is no place for the rook on the 3rd rank. For example, the bishop is blocked. Now, black's plan is easy. Oh, knight h4 is a bad move. So king f7 had to be played. King f7, king g6, king g5, and just... This moves was snowballing, leading black to victory. King f1, and now some spicy move like rook. No, king f7 could be made because white couldn't take the g4 pawn because of knight h2 check. Oh, now the pawn on g4 is blundered. This becomes risky for black. Oh, rook f4. That's a blunder. It doesn't lead black to losing the game, but now it's an easy draw. There is no way white can win this because just the material is too low. Knight c4, just any move can be made to a certain point. Knight d2, king d5 now. No, knight f5, still fine. Knight e4, knight e7 or something like this. No, king goes to d5. King e4, knight g3 check. Yeah, there's just no good plan for white here. So white just has to hope that black blunders something. Yeah, knight f5. Oh, knight goes to c5. So at least white found some plan. King c7, I don't like this move. So king b6 was better, and now white could have played king b5. Didn't use this opportunity. Now the position is dead equal once again. Well, I think with the king on e7, there is just no way black loses this. I can't even imagine what the plan is. So we have to somehow move the king away from e7, and I don't see that coming, to be honest. White declines the draw, so just hoping for something. Knight f4 is played. Of course, black will not exchange. Will not even count the pawn endgame, because why would you do that? It's c7, yeah. Knight goes to e8, that's quite passive, but once again, I don't even see the way to win this game for white. Oh, king d7 could be actually played. Maybe this was at least some problems for black. But not anymore. This opportunity is wasted. Now knight f5 is just safe. Yeah. c5. This is just wasting time, to be honest. Knight g6. King goes to d7 even. I think white will just make a draw now. No need to play anymore. Just play d5, yeah, and go next game. Of course, that's a draw, and so the game finally reached its logical conclusion. No, black will never lose that, of course. Yeah, finally it's a draw. A very difficult game. As we can see, young players are not usually very good in end games, and that's the case in this game as well. Let's now see the Pinkamena game. I see that you want that, so bishop c4. So some classical openings. The Italian, oh, c3. We are like back to 1850. Not anymore. So d4 is not played at least. So d3, knight d2. This is quite a modern way to play this position. So we can see this position in like Magnus Carlsen's games and just top grandmasters. So white is not forcing the issue, because usually when you do that in openings, it leads to an equal position without any chances to gain some advantage. And so usually it's better to play a little bit slow, to delay the forced moves like d4, and try to find a better moment to do that. So white exchanged the knight for the bishop, but in this exact position, I don't think that it's a very serious. It's a serious advantage, because the knight could go to h4. Knight takes e5 certainly is not working, at least because of bishop take f2 check, queen h4 check, and knight takes e5. Black didn't find it, sadly, and now white has an extra pawn. Queen goes to f6. Now castling will be made. And yeah, that's a blunder. I was talking about the moment after the 11th move, knight takes e5. So bishop takes f2 was winning for black. Or maybe even queen h4. Queen h4 was even better, because g3 could be met with bishop takes f2, or maybe knight takes g3. So this was not working. Oh. White played f3 and blundered the check, and now can't castle anymore. Black can find some counter chances after f5, for example. that's not what was played. Played was c6, bishop e3, the exchange, queen goes to g3. The pawn will be defended, and finally we have to play f5. No, d5 is even better, yeah, I agree. C takes d5, c takes d5. King, of course, is going to c2, so no other moves for white, for sure. And after king c2 move, we have a lot of decent opportunities. So we can play queen g6, for example, rook d8, rook e7 maybe. Or maybe just h5, h6. Black's counterplay should be enough in this position, I think. Just exchanging the pawns. Maybe rook e7. No, queen f4, just straight attacking the pawn. I don't like this move because the queen was placed very well on g3. I was attacking the g2 pawn. Now it's not the case. Rook goes to c8. White tries to exchange the queens. The queen goes to h2. That's fun. Rook e2. Even after all these moves, I think the counterplay is enough. f5 is played, e5. Maybe f4 yeah, can be played. Queen e4, maybe queen g3 now. Rook c5 is played. Good as well, because now there are no checks for white. Queen takes b7. Oh, black blundered it and I blundered it as well. Didn't see that this pawn is attacked. Take c5, so now white can just safely exchange and play something like rook d1, I think. Or play queen a8 check first and then rook d1. So let's see what's the case. Rook d1 is played, yeah. Now h6 is the move for sure. Oh, rook e2 check, king c1. h6 should be played. Oh, and actually it's some counterplay for black. Oh, h6 wasn't working because of queen c8, queen f5, and rook d8. Yeah, so rook e8 was necessary. Now rook d2 is played, queen g3. Queen g3 is giving up the a6 pawn. Yeah, now just two extra pawns for white. It's not going to be easy, but obviously the evaluation of this position is quite obvious. Oh, and what a blunder. Rook e1 just wins the game for black. That's fun. White could have just played king c1 and queen takes a2 was not working because of queen d5 check, and now it's over. It's a checkmate in 3 moves. Congratulations to black. Pinkamena wins the game. A little bit lucky, but she'll take it. So in the fatality game, we have a very grim position. The pawn on e2 is struggling so hard. Maybe it's not going to be easy to convert though. White may play like rook h1 maybe. Rook b1 is played. Rook b1 seems like a blunder to me because of queen d6. Queen e5 is played. Queen e5 is not as good because after queen d6 the e2 pawn was attacked, and now it's not, and white can play just rook h1. Oh, rook g1 is played for some reason. g2, queen h4 check. Still working though. King g1. Rook takes f3 can be counted, but maybe it's not enough. Rook e6, rook e8, king g7. Yeah, that's some easy moves. Rook a1. Maybe g5 can be played and rook h6. Yeah, g5 is the move. Oh, rook h2 can be played. Yeah, rook h2 and rook g2, forcing black's queen out. Maybe rook h2 once again is fine. No, white goes queen d1, rook h6, king f2. I thought queen e1 was the idea and queen g3. Not the case. Oh, rook takes f3 check is winning. Oh no, it wasn't. There was a queen g3 move. So queen c1, queen e5. You know, it's very difficult to defend this kind of positions with this low timer. But white is doing it well. Let's see if it finished successfully. Rook g2. Oh, and queen e3 can be played. Is it really working? Seems like it's not. We can just take and play king g1, yeah. Well, I'm not really sure about this endgame. I think white can just play passive and it will be a draw. Yeah, king h3 is fine. King g3, and now even f4 can be played. I think f4 was winning one move before this. Oh, and now f takes g5 is winning, and king f3. Oh wow, what a turnaround! Well, I'm so glad white won this game because this was looking very difficult. And you see, black is as tilted that didn't even make the move and let the time just end. So Fatality was third place before this game. Now it's second place. So playing against the leader. Very interesting. e4, e5, knight c3, d6, bishop c4, some weird openings. So black is not even fighting for some equality, so perfectly fine to have a little bit worse position. Now can play d5. The bishop goes away. Yeah, bishop d3. So we just can't play e takes d5. It will be bad. We can now yeah, we go away. So d4 is nothing special because we just play knight b1 and it's perfectly fine. The f4 will be the plan. Well, white certainly don't have an advantage here, but the position is still fine, I think. Knight goes to g3, letting the e2 square free for the c3 knight. Black plays knight e6. Oh, black is playing really strong. Knight c5 is a threat. White plays e takes d5, decides to give up the center. Plays d4, still fights for it. Oh wow, black plays e4. I maybe would play e takes d4 instead and bishop c5 maybe, or knight c5. I'm not sure if this was a good decision. Knight b4 is played. This prevents white from playing c3 and the knight goes to c6. The position on c6 is not very good though. I think maybe white can play knight f4 and then c3. White plays straight c3. I don't like it because of knight d3, and now we'll have to give up the bishop to knight exchange. So the night before wasn't a good idea, but after c3 it's working. Or maybe it's not. Maybe the idea was to play knight takes c6 now. No, seems like it wasn't. Well, actually, this exchange is not a huge deal, so we're still fine. Yeah, queen d2. So why don't really want to take on e6? I can understand that. Rook c to e1 can be played, and maybe think about something like f3. Not even straight f3, but knight takes e6, f takes e6, and then f3 maybe. White has completely different ideas and plays knight g to e2, queen b6, bishop d1. So white is just trying to defend everything, not blunder, and just keep time relatively equal. Knight d7. Knight d7, I think the idea is to play f5, and f5 is a relatively dangerous idea because of f4, f3. b4. The c3 pawn is weak now, but maybe it's not really a huge issue as well. Oh, now we can find some counterplay playing knight f4, and then knight e6, knight c5. We still can do it. Still can play knight f4. Yeah, that's the move. Oh, actually, it's very difficult to defend this pawn. There is actually no way to defend it. So queen c6 will be met by b5 now. Black will not lose the pawn, but will be forced to play bishop takes f4, and this exchange is very favorable for white. Yeah. Well, queen c6 still has to be played, I think. Queen c6, b5, and then bishop takes f4. Queen takes f4, and then maybe, I don't know, queen e6. No, black decides just to straight play bishop takes f4, queen takes f4, g6 now. Well, what's the plan now? It's a very difficult position. You see, when you have a bishop against a knight, usually your plan is to just open up the play. So the idea is something like c4, looks like. But c4 can be played right now because the pawn on d4 is attacked. So white plays rook e1. White actually has a time advantage. This may be a factor also. Rook goes to e2. White clearly don't see a decent plan here, and I can't blame her for that because I don't see the plan myself as well. Oh, I'll maybe just play. No, I was thinking about f4, but f4 is not good because of knight h5. Maybe just g3. Oh, white plays c4. Oh, c4 is fine. Why didn't I even think about it? Yeah, c4 is perfectly fine. So this endgame is dead equal, I think. I don't even think. I'm not even sure who is even playing for win here. Oh, black is playing for win after knight d5. Yeah, for sure. I thought that b5 is working, but there is a knight c3 check. What a pity. We still can play b5, I think. b5, knight c3 check, king e3, knight takes a4, something like bishop g8 maybe. Yeah, that's the move. I think after these exchanges, the only side that can lose is black, actually. So there is the chance that black just over-evaluates this position for himself, thinks that it's victorious. Yeah, that's the case. Play knight takes a4, and now bishop g8 can be played, yeah. This is very good for white. h6 will be met by bishop h7, and the game is on. Knight goes to c3, bishop takes h7, and wow, what an idea. So knight just goes to a7 now. Impressive. Wow, this was really impressive. Oh, knight d5 and knight e7 is one hell of an idea. Oh, and knight d5 is, oh, it's so brutal. No, it isn't, in fact. King f7 is not working because of h5. So black will still have to play king f6. And after king f4, white will be checkmated knight d5. This is really brutal. Well, as sad as it is, but just black deserved this win. Yeah. I don't even know where the mistake was made. It seemed like everything that white is doing is fine, but it wasn't really. King f4 was not working instead of bishop takes h7 because of h6, and there is an idea of knight d5 checkmate. Impressive, very impressive game from black. A well-deserved win. As sad as it is once again. White actually did a very good job in this game. This is just unlucky. I'll go out for 1 minute. Sorry. Sorry guys, I'm right back. Ready to continue the stream. I'm a little bit ill, so my voice is not as perfect as it is always. Just joking. So let's see how it goes in the tournament. So Fatality is in the 5th place. Has 5 points. Five out of 7. Well, it's fine. The leader has 6.5. The leader plays very strong. So, well deserved. Thank you, guys. I'm glad that you like my commentary. I'll try to do my best. Oh, we have the game going on. So let's once again watch a Pinkamena game. So we have a Queen's Gambit. No, it's a Ragos in defense, bishop b4, a3. I don't know the theory here once again, so let the young players teach us how it's done. Knight goes to d7. I think c6 now is the move, and maybe queen goes to a5, going away from the pin. So c takes d5, c takes d5. Yeah, now queen f5 will be played, I think. Why not? No, black just decided to go b6, so Pinkamena is usually playing very passive in the opening, but quite aggressive in the follow-up. a4, a5, yeah, it's a usual plan in this kind of positions. Queen goes to c7, going out from the pin. Attacking the c3 pawn. Now rook c8, I think, maybe played. Queen d2 is a... It's taking the place, the d2 square away, so maybe even knight e4 could be considered. And after the exchange, knight will have to go to e1. Will be misplaced for a couple of moves. That's not the case. Black just plays rook e8, bishop g3, queen c6, and knight e5. Knight e5. The idea is to play bishop b5, and yeah, it's blundered. Oh, it's a huge blunder. Actually, black loses the queen after bishop b5. Oh, it's not foundable. For some reason, white goes bishop g3. Didn't see the bishop b5 move. So now black has to play a6, I think. It's just the only move here. No, rook d8 is played. So black doesn't realize how dramatic the bishop b5 threat is. So the queen will be lost. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, this is very sad. So let's once again watch the fatality game. I think it's quite done. So we have the fatality who is in the 5th place right now, playing against Lev 0000111 with a not so big rating. So I think fatality is the favorite in this game. And yeah, the position is looking very good for black. g4 is played because there were some threats, maybe like rook takes d4 or something like this. But g4 is weakening the king side. So this potentially can cost white. Bishop goes to c2. I like this move very much because now, for example, black can consider something like bishop d3, and you know the positioning of white's pieces is just so bad. Also, black can even just take on a4. Even decides to play bishop takes a4. I would maybe think about rook takes a4. Knight goes to c3, bishop goes back. The pawn structure is also very bad for white. You see, in the positions where bishops are different square colors, the advantage is usually leaning towards the side that is attacking. And where black are likely to be that side because the king side of white is weakened, and maybe black can think about some ideas of h5 and all this. After rook e1, black has an opportunity to capture the d4 pawn. I think that I don't see some tactics because I don't really understand why we did play rook takes d4 now. Played h6, and after this exchange, once again, oh no, now we can't play rook takes d4 because of queen e3. Now I see. But we can play knight e4, yes. Knight e4 looks really strong. Bishop d2 and just... This position is so scary for white. I think black can just play queen d8, for example. And white have... It will be very difficult for white to find some normal move. And queen c8 is even stronger because now knight takes c3, just straight winning the game. Because knight e2 is an inevitable threat. Bishop takes c3, yeah, now we have an extra minor piece, and yeah, because of the rook c1 check move, we don't lose it back, and now we can play rook c2, and yeah, it's done. It's done, rook e2, now we can just exchange. Bishop goes back to g6, queen c3 can be played, queen c1, yeah, now we can just play as we like. This is just very easy. Bishop h5 can be played now. So black is just decides to capture every pawn. White is maybe trying for some stalemate, but you see, we're not at that level to make it possible. I think black will just play bishop takes f3 and queen takes f3 and just win with 5 extra pawns. Decides not to do it, just play b5, b4, b3. This is very easy. Bishop g4, bishop h3. White offers a draw. It's so naive. Just looks for any chance. You see, black is not really rushing, so tries to win with as much pleasure as possible. At least if we win this game, we will still have to wait for a lot of games to finish. So why would we rush? So we can just rook h8. Of course, it's not a stalemate. King c5. Let's see the endgame technique here. d4, d3. Oh, black is having fun. Playing for the crowd. g5 now, g5. e2. e1 will be a stalemate. Watch out. Da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. Oh no, no stalemate. Queen d8 checkmate. You see, white was this close to draw this game. Just unlucky, unlucky. So this win helps Fatality to come back to the leaderboard. Now we are in third place. So we're waiting for some other games to finish. Let's look at the emotions of our young players. who have some hot discussions in the chat. So we have two young girls playing chess, and people are discussing landing on the moon. That's the internet, you know. Pinkamena is having fun, cheering up the crowd. Fatality is looking serious, so she's ready to fight for the first place in this tournament if it's possible. So some fans are asking to wave. Pinkamena, let's go, do it. She's playing her own game. She'll not play your rules, guys. You say that this guy is a flat earther, but our Earth is like our only planet is a chessboard, and the chessboard is flat. So, what do you say against that? And the god of this planet is like Magnus Carlsen himself. Oh, guys, we'll have to wait so much longer that you can even imagine, because I can see the game that is going on. It's not about to finish in any ways. Oh, it will finish now because White just blundered. It will finish in like 40, 50 moves, I think. So you see, I had a friend who was like, when his opponents were not resigning with a single king, he liked to just promote every pawn to the knight or to the rook, and just once he promoted 8 pawns to 8 rooks, and he made a perfect checkmate with just 8 rooks, but he almost got disqualified for that. It was a live tournament, and the referee was very strict. Not strict enough to disqualify him, though, because we were all children this time. Oh, I'm turning people into flat earthers. I have to think about it. No, it's not over. The stream is on, so we have 3 rounds remaining, I think. So let's see the fatality game. So e4, c5, c3. I used to play these variations for both colors. So that's the position with the isolated pawn. So you see the meta in this kind of positions is that the side that has an isolated pawn has to find some attack, some aggression, just to use the fact that this pawn is placed on the center and captures some important squares, and the other side usually has to play around the fact that this pawn is weak and the place in front of this pawn is weak, and so try to exchange as much pieces as possible and all that stuff. But in this exact game, we have white managed to place a pawn on d5. This is not a very usual situation. I think that maybe black made some sort of a mistake, because I think that white's position is very strong here. Or queen d7 is a blunder of bishop b5, actually. The position was already difficult. White misses the opportunity to play bishop b5, but I think it will not help black, actually. Black has to capture and play knight d7 and hope for the best, but I don't really believe in this position for black. I think that white have a lot of opportunities to finish it. d6 is played. d6 is a very weird move, actually. So black can play e takes d6, and if white's plan was to play bishop takes d6, this plan is not good for sure. Rook e1 check is good, though. Yeah, rook e1 check and knight g5. Wow, that's impressive and very strong. Well, the player playing white has quite a big rating, so I'm not really surprised. Oh, this is very sad. It's just over. Black plays b5. b5 is good. At least it's some chances. So we give up in exchange. Maybe you guys are wondering, why didn't black just play king c7, for example, knight takes f7 and rook g8, but I can surely say that black's decision is practically is better in practical ways, because after playing king c7, we would not give up an exchange, but white will have a very attacking position, a lot of threats, and there was certainly a way to convert it. For example, play like maybe king b1, rook c1 check, something like this. At least now black has some sort of like counterplay, maybe. We are only an exchange down. Maybe we still have some chances. Knight d5 can be played. So yeah, king b1, creating a potential rook c1 check threat. Now we have to play knight d5, I think, to defend the e3 square. So that after rook c1 check, king b6, white will not have a bishop e3 check move. Oh, h6 is very slow. I don't think we have time for this. Yeah, rook c1, and now white even has a choice to take on d6, or knight takes d6 is very strong now. Yeah, now g5 is planned, I think. g5 will be met by bishop g3. Oh no, black even takes on d6. No real chances here. F3 is a strong move. Once again, blocking all the pieces. White squared bishop, knight on F6. No, the knight wasn't trapped. I see the question in the chat. The knight wasn't trapped, but it's not about that this move is good for black. It's about that the other moves are worse than this. Bishop d3. Yeah, we don't have also a knight e5 moves because of rook e1. Yeah, rook e1 will be played, and that's it. Maybe that was the final chance. It's not going to work. Rook c to e1, I think, is because after rook h to e1, at least black can play knight takes d3 and will not lose material. White misses the opportunity, plays bishop c2. Well, now black has maybe some 2 or 3 attacking moves in a row, like knight c6, maybe knight e3 then. No, knight c4 I meant. Knight c4, bishop takes a4, wow. Oh, I don't really like that. Why would you do that? I'm not sure that this position is so bad for black, because now we can play knight takes d6, then take on e8, and white will have, of course, will still have a quite big material advantage, but not as big. Oh no, knight d2 check is a mistake. I think that this was a golden opportunity because three minor pieces are very strong, stronger than two rooks, I think. And also, it will be very difficult to win this. And now, you see, an exchange is much more convertible than the two rooks and two pawns against three minor pieces, for sure. And the blitz game, even more. But now, white can just, give up all these pawns, just play rook h e1, and then play rook e7. Rook g1 is a bad move. So white is playing very weird. Actually, now black may have some counterplay. Bishop t1 is played. Once again, rook c to e1 just finished the game right here, right now, but for some reason white didn't make this move. Bishop b3, now knight b6 is necessary. No, rook c6 is played. Both sides are making very weird moves, to be honest. G5, G4, and black also has time trouble. This is very sad. A3, A4, Bishop A2. Maybe just play knight A5 and hope. No, Rook C7, Rook G7. Oh yeah, once again some counterplay. Bishop G4. Well, sadly, Bishop on A2 just defends everything, so there's no even a way to blunder something, to be honest. Oh, but actually, White found a way to blunder. Black could have played Bishop takes H5. Didn't use this opportunity. Now H6, H7, and yeah, I think that's it. Rook C5. Well, it's very difficult to play when you have a time trouble like this. Rook E4, oh, just attacking everything. Bishop goes to F5. Rook takes E3, yeah, so this is just simplifying the position. No, once again, White should have taken on F5 with his rook, and it will be over, and now there are still some chances. Well, not really a big chances, to be honest, but Black just resigns, yeah, of course. So e4, c5. Is it the last round, actually? Or no? I don't get it. So we have a Sicilian defense once again. Or maybe let's just go for... Let's go for the Pinkamena game. Didn't watch it in some time. So once again we have a classical Italian opening. h3. Bishop h5 can play it. Maybe we can even consider capturing and playing knight d4. Knight h5, bishop h5 is better, yeah. Bishop e2. Now castling, yeah. White takes on b6, so black can take with the a pawn, open the a file. Oh wow, c takes b6. Why would we play this kind of move? The rule is always to capture with the pawn to the center. And also we could have opened the a file, and our rook on a8 would have a powerful position. For some reason black played otherwise. c3, knight b5. The pawn on c3 is attacked. Can be easily defended by queen b3, for example. White played knight g4 for some reason and gave up the pawn. Why would you do that? Queen f3 now. Knight can just take on g4 safely. It will be fine. Queen takes on g4. Yeah, bishop takes h6 is a threat, but it can easily be countered. But black blunder it, playing knight b5. Queen f6 now. Black's position is still a little bit better, I think. Now we can play queen g6, for example, yeah. And we have a little bit better position because of the c file. White could not have played rook c1 because of the exchange, and knight takes a3. Decided to play f4, but f4 is just attacking like nowhere. So essentially white has to play rook takes f4. Yeah, but now we can just play rook c3, for example. Oh yeah, f6 is even better, yeah. f6. Now exchange the queens and just play rook c3. And it's an easy advantage, yeah. a4 white should play a4. We'll play knight d4, and there will be no rook g3 move because of knight e2 check. So white will have to play rook d1 if he wants not to lose the pawn. But after rook d1 we have a lot of moves. For example, simple rook a3 or rook b3 is fine. If you guys understand Russian, there are some jokes going on. King f2. So white decide not to defend the pawn. Rook takes d3, yeah, and now the advantage is very big. If now white don't play rook c1, we can just play rook c8, and and the attack on the king becomes real. No, white plays rook c1. Oh, f5 is a good move. I didn't even count that, but this is good. I was thinking about something like rook f7 maybe, but that's why I'm just commentating and not playing. Because obviously I'm not good enough. Yeah, rook takes f5, and that's it. King g1 can be played because of knight e2 check. So white has to play king e1, and it's not looking safe. I think that some tactics may be found here. Maybe rook e3 check. Oh yeah, maybe rook e5 check, king f2, and now rook d2. Huh? No, king goes to f1. This is smarter. I think... no, king h7. Oh, knight b3 is not good. Now white has counter chances. Yeah, rook c7. The table turns, and now... Oh, king g1 is played. Rook e1 check is a rook blunder. Bishop takes e1. Oh my god. Well, you see, Pinkamena is 8 years old, so she is obviously tired, and so don't be strict, and I'll not be as well. So let's go back to the fatality game. We had the Sicilian opening here, for sure. We have a very tactical position, but it favors black for sure. H takes g2, king takes g2. And the knight on e4 is just so much pinned. Oh wow, queenside castling, what a move. Well, black is taking no prisoners. Just decides to seal the fate of the game straight away. Rook g8, oh my god, this position is just... This is a pain to watch. Queen c3. Yeah, and the time trouble, 7 seconds. Black's time is fine, and I think that's the reason why it's not competitive anymore. Oh wow, what? Black misclicked. And queen f5 check was a mistake. White could have won by playing rook takes c6, and now white loses once again. What a drama. Well, this kind of stuff happens sometimes in chess. Bishop f5 check, king a1. Oh, this is very sad, and this game was important. Still not finished. Oh, white just goes for the draw because... Oh no! Wow, that's impressive. With 10 seconds remaining, white tries to win. Queen e1 has to be played. No, queen c5 is played. Now rook d1 is possible. Queen c5, queen, yeah. King b7. Yeah, it's going to be a draw, I think. Oh, now black is playing for the win. No, white is playing for the... Both sides are playing for the win. Well, to be honest, white can't really lose this game if she doesn't make a huge blunder, because the only thing white has to do to draw this game is to exchange the queens. And the square is the wrong color. Queen e4. For example, queen c4 is making a draw right now. No, queen f2 is played. White is playing with fire. Queen c1 was dangerous. King e5. Oh, and now some counter chances. Now we can really win. After queen takes a6, we are not risking anymore. Oh no, we are. We can play king a4 because of bishop d7. Well, it's still a draw, yeah, after queen 7. White could have played b4 and tried to win. But yeah, this is just too much for one game. No, guys, you are too strict. Sometimes when you play blitz game, you don't see the obvious moves. It always happens. So we have a time trouble. Also, the girls played like 2 hours already. So try to imagine how difficult it is. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Watching is not even close to the experience of playing. Yeah. So we have the last round. Four, three, two, one. So we are starting. It's the last round. Let's go. Fatality is playing against the first place. Oh wow, the leader changed in the tournament. E4. Oh, C4 is played. Some tricky moves. Yeah, the stare of death is like it's stuff that she always uses. G3, D5, C takes D5, he takes D5. So that's the Carlsbad pawn structure with the bishop on G2. The position is slightly equal. I prefer playing black in this kind of positions, to be honest, because the bishop on G2 is a little bit lost in this kind of structures. G6, so white gives up a bishop. Now I prefer black's position for sure. E3. So our idea is to play like b4, b5 usually. Black's idea is to find some counterplay on the king side. Bishop g4 can be played. And it's going to be very rough for white to counter this pin. Maybe knight b1, knight d2 was necessary. Black decides to simply play knight d7. Queen d2. Knight f8 maybe. No, knight b6. Black is trying to create space on the queen side. Not usual plan. Rook c1 is a very weird move. Bishop g4. Knight e1 now is the only move essentially. Black will play knight c4. Then queen c2, maybe bishop f5. No, not bishop f5. What is white thinking? Queen e2? Oh my god, no. No, I don't like it. It's not going to work, I think. Knight c4 can be played now. And knight takes b2 is the threat, and this pin is very rough. I don't get the reason why I decided not to play knight e1. Rook e7. h3. Bishop f5. I think black wasted some time. Knight c4 was necessary, I think. Now white solved most of the problems. Now can play knight d2, for example, and then queen f3. No, plays queen d1 for some reason. I'm feeling like both sides just have no idea what's happening on the board. I don't get the plan of black and white in this position. Bishop c7. I don't get it once again. So maybe the idea is to play queen d6, but even without the f3 knight, queen h2 check is not a very powerful idea. Knight a4, so we just try to exchange the knights. Now, of course, black has to play knight c4 and then knight d6, because the d6 is the perfect place for the knight in these structures. But no, black exchanged knights. This is a mistake, of course. Not a huge one, but still. Bishop goes to e4. Now knight e1. No, queen d1. Once again, I don't get it, because the exchange of these bishops is good for white. Oh, maybe knight e1 was not working because of queen d6. I'm not sure. Now queen d6 is played. It's not even a threat, to be honest. Knight e5 can be played, for example, or maybe white not even need to react to this. King f1 is dangerous move, because now some ideas like f5 are on the cards. So white is wasting some time. I think now white has to play something like, I don't know, knight h4 or knight e5 or just something. Knight e5, I think, is fine. Knight g1 is played, very passive. Knight g1 is too passive, I think, because now black can just play bishop takes g2, king takes g2, f5, and have a very dominant position. Yeah, that's the case. f5 is played, and this is really dangerous. You see, the problem is that there is only one piece of white on the king side. And the king side is kind of isolated. Rook c2. Rook takes e3 may be working now. Not even needed. F takes g4 is fine as well. I think f takes g4 would be played. No, rook f7. No, rook f7 was not good, yeah, because f4 at least defends for a moment. But yeah, g5 is brutal. Knight e2 can still be played, so maybe it's not over. F takes 4, h takes g4, and now queen e6 I think is very strong. Yeah. Double attack, and losing either of these pawns is just brutal. f5 is played. Queen e4 check is not strong. Why is this movement? Oh no, king f2 will be met by queen takes g4. Sorry. And king h3 is just blundering checkmate after queen f3. Yeah. Yeah, that's the sad end of the tournament for Fatality. Had a really good run, but a couple of last games just didn't went well for her. And Pinkamena also lost. So you see that girls are young and got tired. 2 hours is pretty rough for this young age. Well, I don't think that girls are happy about this, but I hope at least you enjoyed the stream, had some fun. I hope the next round will be more successful. Maybe I'll give some lessons to the girls. So what's the result of all this? So Fatality lost, now in the 9th place. Can it become worse? Well, it can. There are 2 games going on. Oh no, they're playing against each other. So the worst place that is possible for Fatality is 10th. But I don't think that's the case. I think the 9th place is secured. Oh, you see, chat, that's for you. Pinkamena putting on some show for the end of the stream for her fans. So now we'll know the fate when the last game ends. And the HS F02 wins this game. And he'll have 31 and something. And Fatality has 33. So she'll end this tournament in the 9th place. And Pinkamena ends this tournament in the 36th place. Well, she has a lot of lessons to learn and a lot of games to be played. And I hope soon she'll become a strong player as her sister is. Yeah, 9th place secured. Well, thanks to everyone watching. See you in the next stream. Good luck, have fun.